needing to change over where the broadcast was going to be today. Sometimes there's a glitch and I have no choice. All right, so I gather the second one got through because you're here, Sakura, so it's great to see you. For those who are joining for the first time, let me first of all explain how this works. Hi, Jamie. Obviously, we say hello to who's coming in, but just so that you know, first of all, if you wonder what's with the boxes, I am busy downsizing and hopefully they will continue to grow. And the other thing is, please be aware if you're watching on the replay that it will say at the bottom 00 to such and such a time, news, views, and updates, because that's how we start. And then from another time, it will say from this time onwards the topic, which today, because it's Sunday, is Soul Work Sunday. So hello to Lee, otherwise known as Zoo. Hello to Jamie and to Jody. So great to see you all. And I wanted to let you know that it's been a really interesting week for me, and I'll talk a bit about that as we go through. But first of all, if any of you are watching this broadcast live, but ghosting, in other words, you're watching it, but you're not showing up in the chat, you are more than welcome. We love it when people come to visit. And we've had people that have literally watched for months and some for years and never commented. But the main thing is they're still getting the help. And that is why we're here. We're a big extended family of people who understand what real life is about. Would that be a fair description, do you think? As opposed to the perfect life, we talk a lot about real life here. And the real life where things don't go right all the time, where we struggle with certain things and we support each other with them. And I love that about what we do. So having said that, let us start off. And I thought I've got to get the screens back again now because I was so busy trying to correct the problem that all right. So if anybody's got any news or updates that you want to share, this will be the time to tell me. And just bear with me because in that little glitch moment, it also decided to nuke my screen where I have the format. Okay, here we go. So before we start, very important for everybody to know this. I am not in any way a doctor, a therapist, or anything with a fancy piece of paper that says I'm incredibly smart. Some of you going, right. However, I am somebody that has dealt with a great deal in my life. And also I have a group of incredible viewers who also cope with a great deal in their life. And therefore we think we're pretty qualified in that way to help people just take a step when they need it. So, but just understand, this is not a clinical thing. This is a group of friends helping one another. As I said, the big extended family. I haven't heard from Matthew and Christy in terms of thoughts and prayers and how they're getting on. With that Reading fire. And I will try and catch up with them if, I just need a reminder to do that. So Erin had great news this week. I'm going to wait until she gets in case she does come in, and then I will share it with you in front of her. I haven't heard a lot from Becca this week. Has anybody? Does anybody have an update? I don't have an update that I can think of anyway. I did touch base with her, but I can't remember that she said anything that she wanted to share. I know that Nana had a family barbecue with her brother, who is the one that is ill with cancer. And she did send me a picture. She didn't give me permission to share it, so I haven't. But just so that you know, that's what she did. In terms of birthdays and anniversaries, hang on, I'm obviously going to need more. It was Trina's anniversary on the 7th. Emily and Sophia, if any of you remember Sophia's birthday on the 9th. It was Bubba, that's Lola's husband's birthday, on the 10th. And today we're wishing happy birthday to Bill. That would be Pat's husband. Yay, happy birthday, Bill. I wanted to tell you that I had a really nice thing happen with Linda this week. Now, some of you will know that Linda got herself into a situation where she saw a dog getting abused, and she decided to offer to take the dog off their hands, which was interesting because they said sure, because they didn't like the dog. Now, I need to tell you, this dog is the most cute looking, as they all are, border collie called Lucky. And she wanted to change its name because she was scared that he would relate that name to abuse. And I said, no, that is his name. Show him what Lucky really means. And that is what Linda's been doing. Now, this week, she obviously has been spoiling the living daylights out of Lucky, and I'm sure Lucky's loving every moment of it. But what I said to her, and I don't know if any of you understand this, but when you have an incredibly smart dog, and by the way, the Border Collie, I believe, is the highest ranked smart dog that there is. I'm certain Jody will check that for me, but it's a really highly ranked in terms of brain power. And what I've always learned is that if you've got a dog with a very good IQ, it's really important that you use the IQ. For example, I was told once by a top trainer that my dog, who happened to be a cross German Shepherd Border Collie, which is two of very intelligent dogs put together. He said, it is more important that you exercise his brain than his body. Now, I don't know if any of you understand what they're talking about. A highly intelligent dog who is not made to think will, in fact, cause a lot of trouble. But if you actually exercise the brain until they're tired, boy, you have yourself a really well-behaved dog. So what I said to Linda was, Linda, what I'd like you to do, even though he's just arrived, is get a couple of toys and name them. And I can't remember what she called them, but it's not important. But, like this is Binky and this is Bonky. Yeah. Why did I come up with that? Anyway, so just so that, and the bearded collie is the most intelligent, followed by the border collie. Thank you. I know it's up there. So I've never heard of the bearded collie being the most intelligent. That's the first time I've ever heard that. Wow. Anyway, that was a dog I considered, but I didn't like the hair too much. So here's what I found, the long hair. Here's what I said to her, was take the two toys and name them. And then put them a little bit further away and tell him, get Binky. And show him what Binky looks like, and then get Bonky. And then get Bonky. And then put them back again, get Bonky. Until he understands which one is Binky and which one's Bonky. You all getting this idea? And then I said, go hide them. Hide them behind the couch. So you can't point to them anymore, and then tell him, go get them. And she wrote to me yesterday and said, I think he's getting it, but he hasn't quite got it yet. And and that was fine. And as she hit the send button, she immediately wrote again, he just did it. He just did it. I asked for Binky and he bought me Binky. And then I put them both back and I asked for Binky again, and he got me, whatever it was, but she knew that he understood which one was which. Now, how many of you going, yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Well, here's the interesting thing. Have a guess, if you will, in terms of useless information I can share with you. Have a guess at how many toys the top dog in this area can identify by name. Have a flying guess. No need to worry about whether you're right or not. This is just for the fun of it. How many names do you think a border collie can store? Jody's taking a guess at 12. Anybody else want to take a flying guess? I think the dog's name, I can't remember, but you can prove this to yourself in case you don't believe me. Chaser, I think his name is, like he chases after things. Chaser. Anyway, I believe Chaser can identify by name over 1,022 toys. Literally, you can throw them in a pile and just tell him, get me Octo, being the octopus or whatever it is. And that dog knows what that sound looks like. Do you understand? They don't actually understand it's Octo. He understands that voice tone, Octo, Octo, Octo. That's what he hears, the noise that you make. And if you think about it, binky, 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 right? He understands what that sounds like. So it's really important that you keep the same tonation going while you do this, all right, for the dog to really get it. But can you imagine that that dog can identify over 1,022 toys by name? And what they did, and I saw this, I actually was doing the research to make sure my facts were correct on this. But what I saw them do was actually introduce a new toy. The guy that was doing the interview was challenged to take any number of toys out of the pile of 1,022 and take them, without the owner seeing them, and then put them behind a couch. And then what the owner did was the owner checked the names of those 9 toys. You got this idea? But what they did is they added a toy he'd never seen. And actually, it was a Darwin doll, rubber toy of Einstein. But they actually called it Darwin. So what they did is they put 9 toys at the back, and then they said to the interviewer, all right, here's the list of the 9 toys at the back. In any order you like, tell him to bring you 1, 2, and 3. Whichever 3 you want, but do them one at a time. So the interviewer sort of rolled his eyes and said, okay, bring me Octo. And boom, off he'd go, and he'd bring back Octo. And then they did all 3. And then they said, what do you want to call the toy you added? Because they told him, bring a toy he's never seen. And so the interviewer said, I'm going to call him Darwin. So he said, fine, we're going to put all 9 toys back. And then we are going to tell him to find Darwin. And to be quite honest, when you watch the dog do this, it ran up and down the toys a bit, trying to work out what was Darwin, because he kept saying, Chaser, bring Darwin. Chaser, bring Darwin. And what the dog was doing? It was discounting all the toys that he had, all the noises that he knew, because, they do it by voice tone. And then that made it that this one had to be Darwin, the one he didn't recognize. And he picked it up and he brought it back. How many of you are going, wow? So what I wanted to show you here is, does a dog like that enjoy games like that? What do you think? Hi, Roseanne. Good to see you. Am I ever going to get a dog again? Yes, I am considering it when I move. Amy says, yes, absolutely. Well, let me tell you what I believe, and you'll forgive me if I tell you this. I believe that dogs love praise. They love to be told they're smart, and they love treats. So the more praise and the more treats they get for playing this game, you understand that's a real exciting thing for the dog. They don't necessarily love the game. They know what they need to do to get the treat. Now, I want you to remember that. Pinky and Perky. Okay, thank you, Linda. Yeah, Pinky and Bonky I thought was quite fun, but never mind. I knew it was like that, that it sort of rhymed in its own way. I should have written it down and didn't, Well, Linda, did you see the video that I sent you? And I sent Linda the video of the dog that could actually, I think the count is up to 1,022 toys that he can identify now. And so just remember this, dogs do things because they get the right results. The result is praise and or food. Now, I said to Linda when she first bought Lucky, I said, I have yet to have a dog that wouldn't do anything you asked of them if you happen to have honeyed ham as the reward. You know, there's something about honeyed ham. Cheese is another obvious one. But you don't have to give them a lot. You understand? Just a little piece is what that taste is. And they know it only comes when they do the work. I also said to Linda, play this game before dinner, because that's the big reward. When you get this right, you get to eat dinner. I taught Bean when in the days of Bean, for those of you who remember, I taught Bean an incredible amount of tricks by doing this just before he had his dinner. Okay, so now then, Linda's saying yes, and this is for people on the replay. I did, Sal. Thank you. Only one hurdle now. Vets want to test him to see if he is a dangerous dog or a dog that can go through therapy. Yes, and you have to remember that he's had a very, very traumatic past. I want to tell you that I have had a dog that probably would have deemed to be dangerous because he could not tolerate anybody with long hair leaning over him, because obviously somebody had leant over him and held him. All right. And somebody with long hair had leant over him, held him, and then beaten him. You could tell that by the way he reacted. It's the only time he ever reacted like that. And so you go, that could be considered a dangerous dog, except we actually trained it out of him, just so that you know. So even if they say, you know, find out what the triggers are and work against it. I heard you say, for example, Linda, that it took 3 vets to hold him down. When I first had Bean, you could not touch his feet. Somebody had obviously trimmed his nails and hurt him badly. That would be my sense. And I can remember 6 months later, he did a terrible danger. He sliced his paw on the edge of a piece of guttering that I was doing renovations, and he caught a piece of guttering and really ripped off his pad just about. It was just hanging off. And it was interesting because they did all the work, obviously, under anesthetic and you know, healed everything properly. But when he was going for checkups and changing the bandages and everything afterwards, I saw my vet, Linda. I saw my vet start to cry. And I said to her, why are you crying? You know, I was thinking, oh, I've missed something terrible. And she said, Sal, I'm probably the only person in the world that understands how much work you've put into this dog. I said, what? And she said, I know that when you first bought him, it took 4 adults to hold him so that we could check his feet. 4. And today he has let me unbandage his foot, treat it, and rebandage it without a muzzle. And she said, that takes incredible trust from a dog. And you taught him to trust. So, Linda, I know of what I speak. This is, you know, like human beings, you know, there might be moments when he gets triggered again, but 99% chance that you can do a lot with him and help him rewrite that tape. He'll never forget it, but, you know, like humans, we can rewrite the bad tapes with new ones, and they put the old ones away. Occasionally they will get triggered, but very, very occasionally. So I'm sure you all wish Linda the best of luck. Now, how many of you got puppies and going, I wonder if my dog can do that? The reason I'm telling the story is, yes, of course, your dog can do that. The reason I'm telling the story is it true also of humans? And that's why I wanted to add the story in. That if we are consistent with our message, and if we reward good behavior, will we have better humans in our life? All right. The problem that we have most of the time is that we spend a lot of time nagging and complaining and not enough time thanking and rewarding. Does that make sense? All right. So I just wanted to make sure, Jody, if you've got that thing about the email list, this would be a good time to put it up. The reason why I just want to make sure that you all are on the famous list. Yes, this is our special mailing list. Thank you, Jody. See how organized she is? If you want to be in our special mailing list for discounts and promotions and things like that, please write to me at DearMamaSal, DearMamaSal, DearMamaSal@gmail.com. And just put the words yes to the list in the subject line. I need it in writing that you want to be on that list. Now, the reason I'm asking this week is I am about to send out an email to people to let them know that we're going to be doing a hangout next Sunday. We're going to do a Google Hangout where people can come up on camera if they want to. So you can see a few of the faces. How many of you would like to see a few of the faces that you haven't seen? And, you know, Nana's been after me to do this ever since I stopped doing the live broadcast with people, other people in the broadcast. Now, the one rule that I'm going to have, because it is the reason I stopped doing it, is that if you come up on camera and then spend the whole time on your phone tweeting and texting your friends, I'm going to turn your camera off. Because I think that's terribly rude to the people that we're trying to help. And, you know, as you know, we spend a lot of time doing that. And so the thing is this, if you want to be up on camera, be in the moment, be on camera, and then get off it if you want to text or do anything else. Fair enough. But I'm going to give you the setup of this so that people can't say, well, I didn't know. And they'll find out. Jody very kindly has offered to do a test run with me. You have no camera. Okay, not a problem, Amy. You can still talk to us. Have you got a microphone in your computer? You don't know. Do you have I'm pretty sure you do. But if you don't know, then you probably have you got earplugs and a microphone on it? Because I do think that you would need that. We'll do a test with that and we'll find out for you, Amy. I'm pretty sure you've probably got a sound card of some sort in your... Are you working on a computer or a tablet? Now, what we're going to do is Jody and I are going to do it from scratch so that we can write the instructions for everybody. You have a headphone set. Well, there you are. If you have that, you probably have a sound card if it came with the computer. Okay. Well, hey, we all have problems. So, you know, let's see what we can do, Amy. There's one way to find out. We'll try it. And if you like, if you like and you remind me on Saturday, I'm not sure how busy I am, but I would even do a test run with you just so you could check it out. All right. If you haven't been able to do that in any other way, or Amy, do you work? We do things like that. And in fact, what I'm going to do is probably get a couple of them just to try it on each other, just so that they can learn it before they get there. So anyway, that's what we're going to do. So I will send out an email, and thank you for that reminder, Jody. If you so that I can tell people, all right, this is exactly how you do it. Follow these instructions, and I'm going to send it to our. Oh, that's right, Amy. You are. I remember that now, Amy. So no problem. So maybe you can. What we can do is get it going, and then maybe we can try and teach you how to do it. The main thing is you need to know how to put on the headphones and how to control that side of it. And then, we will try and bring you in, and maybe on Wednesday when Jody and I have got going, then we'll try and bring you in and help you. How's that? Okay, so that would be, you would now need us to give you a time. So Jody, what time would work for you on Wednesday? And by the way, you don't have to dress up for it. It's just us doing a test. So we don't care if you're in curlers or no makeup or whatever. We're not there to see how good we all look. We're there to see, can we get the Hangout working and bring people in and take them out? Oh, Jody, make a decision. I'm giving you a choice here. And if you say 8 o'clock in the morning, I will tell you no. Yeah, just make sure you're wearing a shirt. Yeah. All right. So anyway, people, I just wanted to let you know that. And Jody will give us a time in a minute. And I love to do this to her because Jody is so kind that she would want it to fit my time, not hers. But that's not what I'm going for at the moment. Now then, on the bad side, or the good side, depending on how you look at it, I actually got in the car and did a vlog today. How many of you going, yay? 3 p.m. Pacific time. Amy, would that work for you? Yeah, we don't do mornings either. Don't worry. we definitely don't do mornings. That's why I was quite safe asking Jody what time. Oh, by the way, for those of you who want to know, the lipstick today, because I know that in case we have a rewind and Emma in Ireland is watching. It's the NYX is the lip pencil that I actually used today. I don't normally do that. And then the contrast is the Revlon 220, I think it's called. Can you see that? And that's a lip balm. Now, Amy. It's our responsibility to remind you, or are you going to be accountable for being available? It'll probably take us a little while. Yep. It'll probably take us a little while to get set up, but once we've got it set up and going, we'll invite you in. So what you would need to do is to send me, I think I already have it, right? I think I already have your email. Do I have your Facebook? Messenger. Messenger would be easy for me to send it on, I think, or Jody to send it on. We'll just send you the link to the broadcast. Make sense? But before then, between now and Wednesday, Amy, we need you to get your headphones on, try to record something, see if it records, make sure you know how to adjust the... Okay, that sounds good. We'll give me, but let us have your Messenger. So if you haven't got me on Messenger, look up Dear Mama Sal in Messenger and send me a note that you want to be included. Okay? Now, here's what I think I found out. I think my memory serves me well. We can have up to 150 people watching it, but only 10, I believe, can be on camera, which is more than enough. But the most, I can remember once we had close to 20 on camera at one broadcast we did a long time ago. Oz must have been there. And talking of Oz, just for those of you who love him dearly, he is doing fine. He's about to go on another walkabout, I think, so that'll be fun. All right, we're going to take a time check at 31 minutes, and we're going to start by just reminding everybody that if you enjoy broadcasts and you want to be included, please, 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 would you make sure you click the bell at the top right-hand corner here, and that has my beautiful face close to it. And what that will automatically do, if you don't already know, it will just advise you every time I'm about to do a broadcast. Now, I also advise people 35 minutes or somewhere around there, depending on what's happening in my life, that I'm about to do a broadcast. I do that on Facebook and on Twitter. And in both cases, it is just my name, Dear Mama Sal, in Facebook, and Dear Mama Sal on Twitter. So if you can follow on both of those, you are bound to get some sort of warning that we're about to go live. This Soul Sunday work, the Soul Work Sunday that we do, this is how it works. I'm going to read a quote. And then what the viewers who are online with me at the moment will do is tell me, what does that quote bring up in their mind? And you see, it's not about wrong or right. It's like, what triggers in your mind when you hear these words? And then we'll discuss it, and then we'll just keep moving on to the next quote and so forth. The reason that we do that is because you can hear the same quote today and then hear it again a week from now, and it'll have a totally different picture. How many of you have noticed that? That you're going, I know that I've heard that 1,000 times and it never sunk in, but today I get it. How many of you have ever done that? It's an amazing thing. And the reason for that, so we all understand, is that you weren't ready for it before. When you actually get it is when you need it. Does that make sense? Or it was incredibly well worded by me. Yeah, right. Wouldn't we like to believe that? Okay, so here comes the first quote. Everybody ready? For those of you who like to take notes, grab a piece of paper and a writing instrument, whatever you prefer. And just a reminder again, just know that I am not a doctor or anything of that nature. The input you will hear from me is that of a human being rather than a medical one. I thought this quote was beautiful. It said, "Life is what your thoughts make it." Life is what your thoughts make it. How many of you nodded? And what came up for you in your mind when you heard those words? I was thinking about the week that I had where it was a week of triggers and perceived betrayals and abandonment and all sorts of stuff. It was an incredible week for me last week. And of course, I had the ultimate excuse because, Mercury is in retrograde and I can blame everything on that. For how long? Until the 19th? I think Jody said. But, it was just like, really, how could you have a week where just everything seemed to be in that direction? And then a really good friend of mine wrote to me and had almost a similar experience to mine. And so it was really amazing that we were able to, it was really funny because we both ended up writing a letter about it to the people concerned. And it was just like, this is really important. Now, one of the things, and Jody, I wonder if you could make a note of this for me. One of the things that my friend Marnie was talking about made me think, how many of you would appreciate knowing how to write a letter when you are really upset? How the right way to do it? And if the answer is that quite a few of you would, then what I will do is I'll actually do one broadcast where we write, we'll write the letter from hell, which is what we actually were thinking. And then we'll turn it around into the letter that perhaps would be more appropriate. So if any of you would like that, leave comments in the comments below if you're watching it on the replay, or just let me know. So life is what your thoughts make it. If you're having bad thoughts, bad things are inclined to be drawn to you. Linda says, yes, so positive thoughts bring positivity. Yeah. So what I actually would love is if any of you get really angry about anything this week, maybe write the bad letter. And don't put any names to it, because we don't need to know the names, and let me have it. And then what I will do is I will help you turn it around next week. And we'll probably do that on Friday, because Friday is really our day for learning. Take a deep breath. It's interesting that only Jody reacted to that quote. So do any of you not agree that life is what your thoughts make it? Do any of you not agree that the way you think will influence how happy or sad you are? Linda reacted. Yes, she did. You're quite right. Linda did react. I beg your pardon. Yeah. Sorry, Linda did say, so positive thoughts bring positivity. Yeah. So what I want us all to understand is, if you keep attracting bad stuff, the chances are you keep having bad thoughts. Simple as that. If you keep attracting bad people, which I used to do, it'll be because you keep getting sucked into the wrong things. I used to laugh about that. How could I attract so many losers in my life when they looked like winners to me? Well, that was my perception of what a winner looked like. They had to be tall, dark, and handsome, and all these things, when really that isn't what a winner looks like at all, in my view now. They're very different today. Okay, and how about this quote? How do you like this one? Your mind will give back exactly what you put into it. That your life will bring you back exactly what you've put into it. Yeah, and so Jody's saying, I've experienced that in action on the positive side. Amy's saying, yep, she's had the experience of that as well. So, Amy, can you give us an example? I'm scared to ask Jody. There's a reason, but I'm scared to ask her. So when we can see that what we give out is the law of attraction, right? If you Jody's saying positive momentum, you must feed your mind the way you want to feed your body. Don't mention that to me this week, Jody. Feeding my body is not a discussion I need right now. Actually, maybe it is. All right. So how many of you know what I'm talking about? So positive momentum. You must feed your mind the way you want to feed your body. I would like to say that it's like a boomerang. If you're putting out bad thoughts are going to come back. If you're putting out good thoughts, does that mean automatically that only good thoughts will come back? No, because some people are just. How many of you have met people that are constantly in bad thought mode? Have any met anybody like that? It's like, it doesn't matter what day you talk to them, they're always blaming the world, right? And nothing's ever their fault, and the world's against them, and so forth. Okay, so Amy's saying, well, when I was a reader on the street, she used to read poems, right? And desperate for reading, and I would then come to me, and I would get just anybody, not the ones that I needed. Yes. And so, all right, or else you just blank out. So I think this is, have any of you tried that with parking spaces? Yeah, Melinda's saying, I've been up on the cakes. Yeah, I definitely have increased my input of cakes and sugar and paid the price handsomely for it. I want to know if anybody's done that. And if not, really do try it. When you're going around the block looking for a parking space, for example, just go, okay, I know that my parking space close to where I want to go is here. I just haven't seen it yet. And just keep saying that as you drive around, and you'll be amazed how somebody will move. And I tell a story that I did it once when I needed to go to a very important meeting, and I was running late. And I kept saying, I know the parking space will be right outside so that I can save time. And I kept going around. And on the third trip around, I swore, and it wasn't polite, because I was right. There was a parking space right outside where I wanted to be. What I didn't add into my little prayer was, and I will be able to get in it. And the reason I say that was the parking space was there, so I had to give thanks. The parking space was there, but there was a dirty, great Pepsi truck blocking it, so I couldn't get to it. So you have to have a sense of humor then and realize you didn't ask properly. So Linda says, I always say Gabriel. That's the angel Gabriel, right? Can I have space, please? And I usually get one. Is the Archangel Gabriel in charge of parking spaces? I didn't know that. I can call him by name now. Yeah, Linda's saying she's had an angel in her life do a random act of kindness, and she cried. And they purchased a medical item for her that was very much needed and couldn't afford. And her heart is filled with gratitude. Yeah, I guess you sent out enough prayers that you really needed it, but then life got in the way and you couldn't afford it. And so then the angel stepped up. I'm not sure that person is angelic. I think that person cared. All right, so hang on a second. So wow, Amy's saying this one really freaked her out the first time she did it. The sidewalk was packed with people and she needed to get to the other side. And I just thought, move. And like the Red Sea, they all parted. Yeah, I've had that happen too. Okay. So Linda's saying, no, I was told years ago that I had Gabriel on my shoulder and was told to ask him for what I needed. It usually works. Yes, it's a bit, I always call in St. Anthony when I've lost anything. Do any of you do that? I go, okay, fine. I've looked everywhere. St. Anthony, wherever you are, your job, I'm going to hand it over to you, because St. Anthony is the patron saint of lost things, I think, and somebody who's Catholic will give me the right definition of that. But he works incredibly well. And that's when you've been looking in the same spot 22 times. And then when you ask St. Anthony to help you, I don't know what it is that happens, but you lift something up and there it is. And you've looked through that 3 times already. It's just like, I know I've looked through this 3 times. And sometimes it's really weird because you need to let go of trying to look for it. That's really important, because St. Anthony will take you where you need to go. And that's my experience. And you've heard me probably on the vlogs tell you about that many times. So let's take a deep breath and go, this week we're going to ask for what we want, but be careful what you ask for because you might get it. So I do say that, but do be careful with what you ask for. For example, if I was stupid enough to actually make a prayer, and by the way, I'm not praying this, for me to get rid of my house so that I could live in the new one. Do you understand? All sorts of terrible things could happen to my house that would get rid of it for me without me having a cent of money at the end of it. Do you understand? So that you have to be really careful about when you ask for things. Like I am looking forward for the right buyer to come forward at a time that works beautifully for me, and that I don't have to worry about it because they will be standing by. By the way, my bank has got a new gizmo in it and it was about what is the value of your house. So I thought, hey, it's interesting to know. Let's see what the bank thinks my house is worth. My bank, now you understand the bank will be conservative. My bank seemed to think that my house was worth about 50,000 more than I thought it was. We like that. Because I can show this is its value per the bank, right? This is what the bank values it at. Not a realtor, but my bank. Very exciting. All right. Just got it one step at a time, one step at a time. All right, here we go. Here's the next one. A positive attitude is like a magnet for positive results. How many of you agree? So if we want good things to happen, we need to start doing some good things. Because if we do good things, it's amazing how it ups your attitude. Yeah, 100%. It's amazing how it ups your attitude. I did something today, which actually I started last night and a bit today, because I realized, how many of you find that when you use an online planner, you end up totally overwhelming yourself? Hi, Sakura, welcome. Have any of you found that when you use an online day timer to put in everything you want to get done, you totally overwhelm yourself? So I have, I try very hard to keep it in blocks of time, but I still totally overwhelm myself. So then what I knew is that I'd seen somewhere what I call time management for people who are creative. And it's very different because it doesn't say. Yes, Jody's saying she just looks at it and gets tired. How many of you relate to that? It's like, how can I possibly do that? So then I started to look at what templates were available online, Jody, as you can imagine I would. And then I went, what am I doing this for? I am a highly creative person. I know exactly what I need. Why don't I just design it? And this is about creating a time management system that works for whatever your major goal is. My major goal in life is to be balanced, right? That's my major goal. So I have created a time management system around the major things that will keep me balanced. And they are the major parts of life, And so I'm working on it at the moment. When I've got it done, I will show you guys. And if anybody would like to download it, just we'll talk about that. But I realized, I've got all the skills I need to create this. I just want to do it for myself for a change. I do it for other people, but why wouldn't I do it for myself? All right, now here's a quote, and it comes from, of all people, well, let me see if you can take a flying guess at who might have said it, right? He said, so you know that's a he, I don't believe in pessimism. That's negativity, right? I don't believe in pessimism. If something doesn't come up the way you want, forge ahead. If you think it's going to rain, it will. So Yeah, Sakura's saying she's done the same thing, by the way. She's created her own time management system. And notice that she says a thing that I can color every day. How many of you find that you color things? Yvonne is an expert at that. You get what you focus on. Yes, exactly. Well, here you go. That quote, and I'll read it again and then I'll give you who said it, right? I don't believe in pessimism. If something doesn't come up the way you want, forge ahead. If you think it's going to rain, it will. And by the way, it was Clint Eastwood who said it. And I can remember from way back hearing a story once about a whole lot of people who went to go and do a rain dance to try and bring on rain in a drought. And the story what made the story interesting was only one person was carrying an umbrella. Do you understand the message? All these people went to go do the rain dance, but did they really believe there was going to be rain? One person bought an umbrella. I thought that was, that always stuck in my mind. And so Jodi's just reminding everybody here that if you find any value in the broadcast, please feel free to donate to it. Those of you watching it on the replay, if you would like to do that, we have a website, the DearMamaSal.com website, and that has, when you click on it, it has a donation button on it, and you can donate as little or as much as you want to. Every little bit helps keep me online. I find it interesting that I never thought about this in those terms before I retired, but now that I've retired, finding money to do all the things that make it happen is very different from when it was before. So that is awesome. All right, so here's another great quote. Keep your face to the sunshine, and you cannot see the shadows. That's actually brought up another picture in my mind, right? Keep your face to the sunshine, and you cannot see the shadows. I'm thinking about that. In order to see your shadow, you would have to look behind to your past. Can any of you see that? Right? Your shadow is in the past. It's not in the present. Now, if you're walking with your back to the sun, you would have a shadow in front of you, which means you're going in the wrong direction. Think about that. Helen Keller said that, somebody who couldn't see at all. Yeah, in fact, this week, if all I can see is negative stuff going on, maybe I'm the one that needs to turn around, not everybody else, which is what I did. Let us think positively and remember that the misfortunes hardest to bear are those which very rarely happen. Let us think positively and remember that the misfortunes hardest to bear are those which rarely happen. Linda's saying, if you're in a bad frame of mind and driving down the road, you will notice the bad things. Alternatively, if you're in a good mood, you will see the good things. Don't awfulize. That's, make things, awful things, worse than they already are. Yes. I'm trying to, let me give an example of that for those people who are new to the broadcast. I'm about to buy a dirty great luxury fifth wheel. And what struck me is that when I do this deal, I will put down a deposit and sign the deal. But what I realized was that somebody could come in and offer more money, and he would break the deal and just give me back my deposit. I, on the other hand, would lose other things in the meantime. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I kept thinking about that, and I'm thinking, is there any way I can guard against that? And I don't think so in all reality. And so why would I focus on that? Because if I focus on that, I'm going to bring it about. Right? So I decided I'm not going to let that go. I've looked at it, so I'm balanced. I've seen both sides. But what I want to do is focus on this is going to be just fine. And understand that if something goes wrong, it wasn't the right thing. So I don't have to worry. So here's the next one. A positive attitude removes the rust from the mind. It lubricates our inner machinery and enables us to do our work with fewer creaks and groans. A story of my life. A positive attitude removes the rust from our mind. How many of you like that picture? It's like the positive attitude is just shining everything up, and then it lubricates it so it can move, and then enables us to do the work with fewer creaks and groans. I like that too, Jody. I'm going, yeah, I like the visual of that. I can't tell you who said it because I don't have the person quoted here, but yeah, I actually really like that. Now, this one was cute. Remember the steam kettle. Though up to its neck in hot water, it continues to sing. So basically, what I see in that, I don't know what you see in that, which is we control what we do when we're under that much pressure. Now, I'm going to be doing a vlog, which unfortunately, my camera ran out when I was doing a vlog today, but I'm hoping that there was enough there because I'm going to give you an example of how the same problem has two totally different reactions in two of the viewers, one being myself. And, there is another viewer and, exactly the same situations happen and we react totally differently. And I thought it was really an interesting thing. So whether we choose to sing or complain is up to us. And how many of you have noticed that when you are just complaining about stuff, there's more stuff to complain about instead of just moving on? Yeah, I don't like this time to move on. Some of you were here for the broadcast on Friday. When I was explaining, I had been a gamer for a couple of weeks recently. And I don't often do that. And for some reason, which I can only now, when I work it out, think I was in avoidance. I didn't want to deal with the things in my life that I needed to deal with. I started playing an online game. And boy, does that take up time. And so what happened was that I noticed that things were happening that really made me angry. And then I kept remembering it's just a game, it's just a game. And then I went, no, this isn't just a game. This is upsetting me in real time. And therefore, do I want to be playing this game? And then, you sort of, everybody calms you down and you go, okay, fine. And then I carried on playing and another thing hit me with this game. And I went, I don't like that either. And then another and another. And then eventually I had enough things layer on top of one another where I said, I'm out of this game. And what I did was I gave away all the fortunes that I had amassed in this game to people I liked and thanked them for being my friend and pulled the plug, uninstalled the game completely. And here is the lesson that I learned. I had enough time in my life to play that game for that many hours a day. Something that had a negative impact on me. What if I use the same amount of time to do things that have a positive impact? How many of you can feel that in your soul? If I have enough time to play a game and waste that time, then I have plenty of time to do other things that will make my life better. Not make me angry, make my life better. Does that make sense to anybody? So one of the great quotes that I quote is a guy I met many, many years ago. And he was actually a motivational speaker. And he said something one day, and it really hit me so hard. And I actually phoned him and asked him for permission to use the quote, and asked him to give it to me in writing, which he did, because he said he didn't even realize he'd said what he said. And I said, that's fine. I heard it, and I think it's brilliant, and I'd like to write a seminar about it, which is why I am asking you for permission to use it. And he said, sure, go ahead. Yeah, so easy to fall into that avoidance trap, isn't it? Baking. If I start baking, I know I'm avoiding something because I don't normally bake a lot. Anyway, so here's what the guy said, and this is difficult to get sometimes on the first round, but I'll try and explain it. What he said was, and it was actually during a seminar about sales, right? And he said, if you were accused of sales, would there be enough evidence to convict you? And I went, and I played it through my mind again. If I went into a court of law and the prosecution was accusing me of sales, would I have enough evidence to convict me? How many of you understand what he's saying? For example, if I were accused of downsizing, is there enough evidence to convict me? Yeah, good to see you, Beth. How many of you can understand why I got excited about writing a seminar about that? Because what I could see myself asking people was, if I was accused of taking care of myself, would there be enough evidence to convict me? And if I were accused of being financially responsible, are you getting this picture? Not that I got a whole bunch of excuses why I haven't done it, but would there be enough evidence to convict me of that? If I were accused of being a friend this week, would there be enough evidence to convict me? Right? I think that this week I could say yes. If I were accused of trying to lose weight, would there be enough evidence to convict me? Yes, I lost 2 pounds, and I have lost 2 pounds. And so, do you understand? So what if you asked yourself that every day, right? If I were accused of doing this, would there be enough evidence? And if not, what one step can I take towards it? Because even if there's one step, you can go, yeah, I showed that I was doing that. So my attitude is, hi, Judith, how are things in Ireland? Pretty sure Judith's in Ireland. I'll find out whether my 2 brain cells are both woken up today. How many of you know that feeling? It's like, I think that's Judith from Ireland. Let me take the risk. By the way, if you were accused of taking a risk this week, would there be enough evidence to convict you? Things are awesome in Ireland. How many of you know I took a risk and did I take a risk? Yep, I've taken a couple of risks this week, actually. Actually, in the last 48 hours, I've taken a couple of risks. Because have you noticed you actually do need to take a couple of risks in order for life to be productive? Do you think that Linda took a risk when she took on a dog that had been maltreated? Yep, that's a big risk. But you know something? I bet you Linda will tell you it's a huge reward as well. And is it an incredibly interesting thing that she did that? And I'm going, it's like Linda hasn't got enough in her life. She's not going to take on a dog a special needs dog, in as much as it has been abused, right? But how many of you can see that Linda has already got so much joy out of having the dog that it's really amazing? So this is an interesting quote. How many of you will laugh at this one? And just let me know if you chuckle. It says, "Your day goes the way the corners of your mouth turn." So if you spend your day smiling, things will be good. If you spend the day feeling sorry for yourself, you'll have good reason to feel sorry for yourself. So, yeah, something, I thought that as well. When I read that, I thought, yeah, that's very true. If I choose to see the good, I will see good. If I choose to see the bad, I will not only see it, but attract it. So, very important. And no cases of eye strain have been developed by looking on the bright side of things. Mind you, have you ever had a day where somebody was in a really good mood and you hated them for it? I mean, let's get real here. Have any of you ever had that, where you were not in a particularly good mood and then you got what I call a happy person? And you're going, I don't need a happy person in my life. And they must be faking it, because it couldn't possibly be real. And then you find out to your horror that maybe it is. But what I love about doing Dear Mama Sal is we allow both sides of that. And there's nothing more annoying, right, Judith? There have been times when I really just wanted to go, because I was in a bad mood. I was upset about something, and I really didn't need a happy person around me right then. However, I will always remember saying to one of my friends when I first met them, you make me sick. And they said, "Really? Why?" And I said, "Because you have something I don't have." And she said, "What's that?" And I said, "Serenity." You understand? It was just like, she was so serene. She did not get pulled out of joint on anything. It didn't matter what anybody said to her or anything. She just coasted along on her own path. And there's part of me that didn't like that. But I wanted it. And I probably will not get, I don't know, let me think positively. I'm getting better at it. Let me turn that one around. Yeah, I'm getting better at it. You said the same thing to Kim? Yeah. You see, Amy, the thing is, his mind doesn't go where yours does, right? He just doesn't take the same path. It's like his signposts go happy, and he just goes there. Yours goes right or wrong. It was wrong. I'm going down this path. Instead of thank goodness. Yes. So that's why he's so magical in your life. All right. Because he can see the other side. Now, as much as it must annoy you at times. And I just want to stay and keep real and go, there are days when we have that problem where happy people are not quite the people we want to meet. We're getting close to the end of the broadcast now. And just because normally about now people will ask me the question, which is, what am I doing for dinner? Tonight, it was actually quite cute. I heard a comment from Papa downstairs. I have an 85-year-old downstairs in my house, my tenant's father. And Papa apparently had said one of the things he really misses is his barbecue. And so tonight I decided I would definitely bring out the barbecue and fire up I have an electric barbecue and I love it. And I'm going to be cooking hot dogs and beef sausages. But Linda, you will probably understand this. I will personally cook my beef sausages until they are crispy on the outside. Now, some people call that burnt, but to me, there is nothing better than a beef sausage that is crunchy. How many of you would agree with me? Now, is this healthy food? No. But I have been a good girl today, sort of. I have not taken in many calories today. And so, yeah, I love mine crunchy. I don't know why that is. To me, a beef sausage, is better for being crispy. Yeah, I'm not surprised, Jody. By the way, for those of you who come from Ireland and England, I was trying to explain to Jody this week what a Scotch egg was. And for those of you who don't know, that is an egg, a boiled egg, that you then wrap. You take the shell off, obviously, but you then wrap it in pork and sage, and I put bacon in mine, and 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 an egg and stuff. And then what you do is you actually mold this ground pork around the boiled egg. And then you have a choice. You can either deep fry it, which of course, if you're going to do that, then dip it in egg and then breadcrumbs and deep fry it, and you will die and go to heaven, figuratively. And then, but probably maybe, yeah, a lot of cholesterol. But you can also bake them. So, and if you bake them on a slatted thing where the fat can drip off, they are actually they will actually not be quite as bad. They're still not good for you, but boy, do they taste good. Yeah, you know something, Jody? I had a feeling Lionel would like that. And they are a meal unto themselves. I don't know if Beth's still here, but they're a meal unto themselves because they've got the protein of the egg, and then you've got the protein of the meat as well. So boy, I found one of those, and you're not hungry for quite a while. But obviously don't eat them every day. And Jody, they are great cold. With a salad. Just so tasty. And that reminds me, I did say to Yvonne that I would do some boiled eggs to go with, I don't know why, but I thought I would do some boiled eggs to go with the barbecue. All right, so I'm going to have my hot dog without the buns, although I'll do buns for everybody else. I'm not going to do buns for me, but I probably will put one smoky on for me, and maybe I'll give them the smokies, and I will have the beef sausages, and then with salad. So it's like I'll try and cut out some of the bad stuff with this. So that's what we're having for dinner, and yeah, it's everything in moderation, right? That's my problem. I just don't do things in moderation. But although I must admit that last night I was really craving sugar, and what I did is I opened up a packet of caramel Quaker rice cakes, I think. Yes, you know something? Lettuce wraps are a great idea, except the only lettuce I've got is romaine, and that doesn't wrap well. Yeah, thank you. You know something? I do enjoy. I love. Do any of you have a barbecue mat? I think the greatest invention that ever came across was a barbecue mat where you can just throw everything on, nothing falls through. You can do grilled onions on it, and that would be a good idea for the hot dogs. Grilled onions on it, and they don't fall through or anything else. And the mat still gives you the lines that make it look like it was on a barbecue, which is the only thing I was worried about. It won't look like it's been on a barbecue. Well, it does. By the way, what if I grill myself some vegetables instead of, a lot of other things? Let me do some grilled vegetables and drizzle some maple syrup on them. Yep. I'll do oil and a little bit of maple syrup in there. It tastes really good. It's getting worse by the minute, isn't it? As I think. Yeah. So thank you all so much. Amy, we will be attempting this at 3 o'clock Pacific time. Are you on the same time zone as we are, Amy? Oh, wait a minute. Jody and I are not on the same time zone. She's 3 hours ahead of me. So that would be 6 o'clock her time and 3 o'clock mine. Jody, doesn't that run into your dinner? Or is that lunch that we'll be running into? You live in Texas. All right. What time zone are you in? Do you know? Texas is a big place. I'm not quite sure whether it has more than one time zone. Ah, good thinking. All right, so you are 2 hours ahead. So that would be... All right, Jody, can you just make a note of that she's 2 hours, that Amy is 2 hours ahead of us? Of me? 1 hour behind you. Okay, so then we will give you a heads up and let you know when we're just, we will actually write to you. Don't worry about. We will write to you and say, okay, we managed to get everything sorted out. Here's what you do. Now, if you manage to try a hangout on your own, then you will know how it works. So that would just be that you talk to one of your friends on Google Hangouts. And if you've never done it, we will teach you. But you're welcome to try it on your own, as I always say to people, so that we don't have to teach you. All right. And if you're saying, I have no idea where to start, but join the rest of us. You have not. Well, by this time next week, Amy, you will never be able to answer that question the same way again, because at very worst, you will have tried it. I'm not saying you will have succeeded, but at very worst, you will have tried it. And that would be a major tick for you in the risk factor, right? That's a really important one to have on keeping your life in balance. I don't know what it is about taking a risk that's good for you, but it is. Have any of you found that out? That when you take a risk, it's amazing what it does. Well, the main thing is, Amy, that we want to make sure you know how to do it so that this time next week you'll be able to join us when we do that broadcast on a Hangout. All right, everybody. So here's the thing. Thank you so much for being here. Does anybody have anything that they want to share before we close the broadcast? And I say that because sometimes you're being really polite and waited until I finished the main topic of the day. Jody, I want you to please let people know. Jody's been having a lot of trouble getting sleep. And I really convinced her to get some meditation music on. As she tries to sleep, put that meditation, and preferably one that's got a playlist of music. And Jody, what difference did it make? So if you've got an insomnia thing going on, don't keep doing what you always do, because you know that's not working. Yeah, it made a huge difference for Jody. Amy, I don't know if you know. I'm not sure. Jody, do you have a system that allows you to get into a bath? I think you shower normally, right? Yes, nature sounds work well for you. Some people find that Zen bong type noises work well for them. For other people, it is birds, and some people it's waves crashing. So it just depends what works for you. Melatonin, yes, amazing stuff. And she would find that in what? I mean, I know Jody will probably already have that in her. But just for those people who are not aware of melatonin. ASMR, that always makes me smile, Judith, because that's what Benji said that I should do. With my voice. And I listened to a couple and went, I think I'd probably burst out laughing in the middle of it. And eye mask and earplugs work. All right, I'm just trying to think because both Jody and I are on CPAP machines. So an eye mask is possible. Earplugs, yeah, I guess so. So the main thing is, if you are having trouble sleeping, don't keep doing what you're doing, all right? You need to do something different. Maybe pick up your blankie and go to a different room where the usual distractions are not there. Maybe, how many of you are going, I need to stop with the electronics before I go to bed? But there are some of you who actually sleep better when you've got noise. How many of you actually sleep well? I call it watching television or watching the internet with my eyes closed. Yeah, I do too. So I find, putting on, I tell you what does it for me really well, Jody. Forensic Files. That guy has got a voice tone that sends me off to sleep in a heartbeat. Yeah, I must have some white noise going on as well. But I find if I put Forensic Files on and turn over with my back to my computer and just let it run, it turns itself off after a while of being immobile. But the funny thing is, boy, that guy's voice can send me to sleep in a heartbeat. And so it's like, yeah, it's one of my go-to things if I'm having a problem. Let me find some forensic file things here. All right, everybody, I hope you all have a super, super week. I hope that you remember to keep the thoughts positive. And if your thoughts go to the negative, contact somebody who can help you turn them around a little bit. Even if that will upset you, it's just like, you take another step in the right direction. If you were accused of trying to up your mood to something slightly better, is there enough evidence to convict you? And if you've found somebody and said, hey, I'm having a very negative Nelly week, that's what I call it, negative Nelly, will there be something to say that you tried to change that into something more positive? I'm not asking you to be what you're not. If you're miserable, be miserable. If you're happy being miserable, be miserable. You know what I mean by that? It's like, I'm not saying if you're grieving, stop grieving. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is that if the world's bringing you nothing but misery, the chances are, you're part of the solution if you want to be. Do something different. So this is Dear Mama Sal. Thank you all. Remember to look after one another. I always say this, but most of all, please, please, please remember to look after yourself. It is one of the most difficult things to do because we've been taught not to do it. But there comes a time in life when you realize, I have not looked after myself. I have looked after everybody else, but not me. And it's time to do that. Bye-bye for now, everybody. Have a great week.